To begin our texture hands practice, you'll want to get a piece of paper and lay your hand as flat and spread out as possible. When you trace, keep your pencil straight up and down, take your time, and make sure you keep control of your pencil. You're going to want to press lightly. You'll notice that your pencil should be touching along your hand all the way through. For your first texture, you can use any one that you'd like. I'm going to be using burlap, so I'm going to label it. Burlap is like the fabric that you see in a big potato sack. To make this, I'm going to draw a series of horizontal lines that go all the way down the finger. Now to create the woven look of this burlap texture, I'm going to change directions and draw vertical lines going up the finger. Now if the threading in your texture still looks a little too spaced out, maybe you want to add a few more directional lines. Now I am drawing diagonal lines, and then I will change directions as well to have diagonal lines going the opposite direction. To finish it off, I outline my finger and just choose to have a few little threads sticking out so it looks a little bit more realistic to the burlap fabric texture. Remember, you can use any texture that comes to mind for you. I'm going to be drawing scales, so I'm going to label it, and if you want to draw scales along with me, I draw a series of M shapes. Now if these scales are coming from a fish or a reptile or even a pine cone, you'll notice that they actually create a pattern. Each scale goes in between the previous set of scales. So take your time and try to have these all be about the same size. Now for my third, I am going to be drawing the texture of a saguaro cactus. To create the cactus, you'll notice that they have ridges. I'm first going to draw lines going down my finger. And if they touch, that's okay. They don't need to be perfectly parallel. There's some variation in here when it comes to nature. Sometimes things are a little bit random. To create the spines, I'm going to draw little V shapes along the edges of the cactus. Now to create the spikes that are facing us in the center of the cactus, I'm going to draw little X's, or this might look a little bit more like a star to you. One of my favorite textures is candle wax. This could also be translated as being maybe the texture of something that's wet, or maybe it's slimy, but I'm going to make this into candles. So I draw the top of a candle on my finger just to make this into an actual candle. And when we draw the drips of wax, it is a vertical line that goes down the finger and then curves, creates a little bit of an oval, and continues back up. Add these to the side, everywhere that you see appropriate. Maybe one drip is going to turn into 2 little ovals at the end, little balls of wax as they roll and tumble down the stick of candle wax. Now to add a little more life to this candle, I add a wick and a flame, and if you'd like to add any smoke on top of this as the candle burns, that might be appropriate as well. For my final finger, I'm going to draw fur, and when we draw the fur, I'm going to be drawing lines in a row at the bottom of my finger, and then I stack and add a new row of hair. We want to draw every follicle of hair, and maybe they're going to be changing directions. In fact, if you look closely at mine, you'll notice on the sides they point outwards. Then when I get into the center, they'll be pointing up and then back out. That way you can kind of see the fluffiness of this hair or fur. Now that you are finished, I want you to take a look at your palm and try your best to create the texture of your actual hand. You'll notice that there are little wrinkles and lines in the center of your palm. Try your best to lightly just recreate those lines. You'll notice a lot of them are broken, and there's so many lines it can get a little distracting sometimes. Just pick out the ones that are the most bold. I hope you have enjoyed your texture hand practice. Can't wait to see your submission. Have a nice week.